It is Thursday night, April 10th, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 7 in Los Angeles, Pacific time. Scott Fishman is here. Is it in sunny? Are you in sunny Florida?
I am in Orlando. Good old Orlando.
Sunny now?
Nice? Yeah, it's really nice. Last couple of days. So it's gonna get the rainy season coming up, but right now it's pretty good, pretty nice.
I just think it's so interesting. Before we move on, is that I'm jealous in a way because Florida's got like wrestling all over the place. Like, did you know when you moved there that's one of the reasons you moved there, or was it just like?
I mean, it wasn't one of the reasons I moved there. I always lived, I was born and raised in South Florida, so
right.
I moved up here for other reasons, so it's just an added bonus that it's always up here. But I do miss the days that NXT ran at Full Sail because I would go to a lot of the Full Sail shows on Wednesday nights. But now that they do it at the Performance Center, it's such a to-do to get there because I don't know if people realize, but you actually have to go to Full Sail and then get picked up by a bus, and then you get transported to the Performance Center, and then you get transported back like it's a field trip. So it's kind of like too much. I'm just not really wanting to do that. So that's kind of what I did at one time, and then I was for our War Games. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So that's kind of what happened with that. But it's really nice to have, all the wrestling. But at the same time, yeah, I guess as you get older, it's like, I don't want to deal with it.
I don't want to do it. I was just going to say, but will you go? You'll go to Miami if there's a show you want to see. You'll go to, will you go or will you stay in your area?
It's I mean, nowadays, if it's in Florida, like Tampa, I've gone, Jacksonville. Now that I live up here, going to South Florida, it has to be something like they haven't had a pay-per-view in a long time. So if it's like a Raw or SmackDown, I'm not probably going to go, but I might go if it was like a.
Am I hearing this right? That I'm getting Money in the Bank? Is this correct?
I saw, West Coast getting some love this year.
Come on now, let's have it. It's so hard to get anything here. Come on now.
Yeah, you're getting all the stuff. You're getting some good stuff. Although there was reports that Orlando is going to be getting some big events over the next couple of years, like Royal Rumble, another WrestleMania prop maybe, but Survivor Series, things like that.
I think we're getting Money in the Bank. Right?
That's a fun show. Money in the Bank is always a good time.
But everybody, it's WrestleMania 41 season. This is it. We are in the home stretch. We are like a week and a few days away from the start of WrestleMania, the insane week that WrestleMania is. We'll talk about like what's going to go on because I don't know on my end. But I wanted to talk to you, Scott, about how it's stacking up, because I talked to a lot of different people, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't really like it this year. Its card's kind of they're not like." I'm getting a lot of mixed signals from it. And I know there's still a week. Do you think something else will be announced within now? And I think something else will be announced because I'm wondering what they're going to do with Randy Orton now that Kevin Owens is injured. My first thought to you was on the Kevin Owens issue. When I first thought it happened, I thought, is this a work and he's not really injured? Then I realized he was really injured, or I believe he's really injured. When he went on the Mother's Basement show, do you know what I'm talking about? With the kid, and I'm like, damn, this kid.
Barstool.
Yeah, Barstool. So I'm like, damn, this kid's in his mother's basement, and he's got Kevin Owens. And he was talking the situation about he just found out he couldn't wrestle because of the recent MRI on his neck, leaving Randy with no opponent. Do you think Randy now is set up to kind of screw up the Cody match, to set up the Cody feud with Randy, which has got to be after the Cena thing, which is what I'm thinking?
I mean, definitely a possibility. They kind of teased it a little bit a couple weeks ago with both of them in the ring. So I definitely wouldn't rule it out happening. Will it happen at WrestleMania to help, John Cena secure his 17th title reign? Maybe. Definitely think some sort of shenanigans are going to happen when it comes to that Cody Rhodes John Cena match. There's going to be some sort of outside interference, but that's an interesting thought that it could happen. I'm interested to think if that would have happened either if Kevin Owens got injured or not injured. I am intrigued if they're going to announce tomorrow night on SmackDown his replacement. And interesting enough that he attacked Nick Aldis last week. Are we trying to hint that it's going to get it? That would be like an insane kind of way to debut Nick Aldis as an in-ring performer. But I wouldn't be against it.
I would
That
be
would be
against
really
that.
interesting.
I think that'd be
Yeah.
interesting. I think that Randy Orton though has got to flip heel. Right.
I don't know if he has to, but he definitely can do it. He has the ability to do it. I mean, I love fun loving Randy Orton and things like that, but you know, deep down, we know the best Randy Orton is that villainous side where he's like unforgivable, unrelenting. Maybe kind of teaching teaching the young gun some new tricks when it comes to Cody Rhodes. If we're going to be putting Cody Rhodes on the chase after WrestleMania with John Cena, not going against John Cena again necessarily, but kind of working his way up to get to John Cena again. I think that's kind of what I would think may happen if Cena wins.
I want to talk to you about this because so first we had, when we last talked actually, John Cena had turned heel and he had done the beatdown of Cody Rhodes. And then in the subsequent week, it's been a lot of the same old. And I don't know if I'm loving how it's landing at this point, John Cena, giving the same kind of stance against the fans and all that. Are you liking it at this point, or do you think something else needs to happen between now and WrestleMania to rev this up even more than him just coming out and shitting on the crowd?
I think that match build has been the most consistent out of every match that we've seen leading up to WrestleMania. There's been a couple that have kind of revved up a little bit more the last couple of weeks, but for me, that was the only match for a while leading up to WrestleMania that made me feel like it's WrestleMania season. The other matches didn't give me that same feeling until, there's a couple that we can get into that I feel like they've really done a great job in the last couple of weeks of building up, but not very many. And this one, I think they've done a consistent job. They really didn't have to do much after the turn.
You think that
in this match
were there?
Cena didn't have to really do anything, or even Cody, like what was done there. Everyone would be intrigued in seeing what was happening next. And I wasn't sure what to expect when Cena got on the mic and be like, okay, why are you even talking right now? I don't want to hear from you until WrestleMania. But now I see the interactions between the two. And I think every single one, for me anyways, has been a home run. I've been more interested in this match every single time that I've seen them interact. And I'm looking forward. I'm thinking it interesting. I'm going to find it interesting that next Friday's SmackDown, they just added John Cena to the show. So I don't know what else they're planning, but one thing that has been missing from this has been The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Right. Are they purposely waiting to not show him to see where, what happens with this? Or is he going to show up next Friday? Are they going to make a last minute announcement tonight, for SmackDown or Raw? I don't know, but that's something that they haven't really tugged enough on. So it's been really, the focal point has been Cody and Cena, which I've really enjoyed, and I'm happy that it actually went in that direction. But we'll see. I think that's been the one thing they've gotten right, to be honest. And
I have to say, to your point on The Rock, I think that's the key. Are we getting The Rock? We haven't heard anything confirmed that he's coming and doing anything. Obviously, he's got to be at WrestleMania, right?
Travis Scott's going to be at WrestleMania too. So
what would we do without Travis Scott? I don't know. And Travis, so they're all going to be there then. Does it feel to you, of all the WrestleManias that you've gone to, watched, followed, do you feel that this main event of Cody and Cena has that big bill? Are you very excited about it, or where are you landing with it?
I'm very, I'm not going to say I'm the most excited I've ever been for a
main event. Right? It's good. Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the crowd goes, how they tell the story of the match. There's a lot on the line here. Cody Rhodes has been champion now over a year. He just celebrated his milestone not that long ago. And then you have Cena going for that 17th title reign, knowing it's his last WrestleMania. So the stakes are huge, and we love stakes and storytelling at WrestleMania. and this has a WrestleMania feel to it. So I'm looking forward.
At this point, with your expertise on this, you see it going to Cena.
Yeah, I do
too.
I see Cena getting it and having this run, and then Cody chasing it for a lot of the year leading up to it. And that's going to be the most important part, is what are they going to do after WrestleMania when it comes to Cody Rhodes building the confidence or getting him back in there. Are they going to make him go through hoops to get another title match? And then the question after that is, who would be the challengers for John Cena in this next run, his last run as the champion? But one thing I would love to see, like a heel Cena do, is Ric Flair trying to interfere in this match somehow, or trying to, I don't know, being at ringside or something like that.
Would be great.
And then Rock or someone, or Travis Scott or something. I don't hope not Travis Scott, but someone
hurt him.
Like not hurt him in real life, but like, yeah, do something to get the fans to be all right, like costing, Flair losing and then him being like in tears, and then and then just
Rick being in tears.
Rick being in tears.
Yeah.
And all this emotion, and then, but a lot of people thinking at the same time that a Flair costing a Rhodes, a match too is interesting. But then again, why would Flair, want his reign to be
only over? Thing that I've noticed, I honestly, unless I'm hearing this differently, it seems like Cody's popularity is as big as ever right now.
Yeah, but history has shown he's been an anomaly when it comes to like someone who's been a face champion and maintained, like him, Austin. There's only so many that have been able to do that, where then people lose interest when they win the championship, because that's the big thing. They win it at WrestleMania, and then it just, for some reason, just like not craps out, but definitely fans losing interest and then wanting to see something different. In Cody's case, it seems like, it's just like you said, he's selling out all his meet and greets, merchandise. He's moving merchandise, moving revenue, moving tickets. But I think there's always money in the chase, and having him go for the title, I don't think that will be it. If they do it the right way and they create the interest, I think that would be, it wouldn't hurt that much. Because at this point, let's face it, he doesn't need the title. He finished the story. You have Cody. He had this long run. You're satisfied by it. He's like I feel like no one's gonna go the Roman Reigns length of championship in a long time. Like, I don't see Cody doing that. So for me, I think this is the perfect time for him to kind of claw his way back up, and then later in the year win the title back, and then Cena, has that last hurrah where he, fans can get behind him again. Oh God! Don't get me started on poor Austin Theory.
All right, so let's talk. So here we go. First of all, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, triple threat, which has become more interesting because of who will Paul Heyman do the favor for, which is the story. And it's so funny because when I watched this, I was of the mind, coming out of the episode where Punk tells Roman that the favor is that Paul's going to be with him in his corner in the match, right? Was the favor that he was going to do. And my whole thing is, and in my head as a writer, I was like, oh, this is going to be, it's going to be Paul and Seth. They're going to be in cahoots and turn on everybody or whatever. But then this happened last week or Monday. And Seth said at the end of the whole episode, now you owe me a favor. So what do you think? Do you like where the story's going? And is Paul Heyman going to be a crud bucket and like screw everybody? Like, because he's done it before. I mean,
crud bucket.
Well, didn't he like take was it a cane? He smashed Punk 15 years ago. It was his own guy, his best friend.
He went to Brock Lesnar, yeah.
Brock
He's
Lesnar.
had many a relationship, says Paul Heyman.
Right. So I was thinking my Cephala. What do you think?
We were talking about matches that didn't have that WrestleMania feel. I was not excited for this match at all when it was first announced. I was
Me
like, what has happened? I think we had a conversation about this.
Yeah,
Like,
we did.
why are they doing this? Triple threat matches, are they even exciting in this sort of scenario?
There's no reason for it. There's not like for
Right.
the title.
And then the last couple of weeks, Paul Heyman, of course, being Paul Heyman, and then Seth has been really strong on the mic. CM Punk has been great. Roman, everything's been clicking on all cylinders, and we've gotten really interesting, especially with the favor, which I get what the favor, like having the favor, but at the same time, like if I'm CM Punk, that's gonna be my favor. Like I feel like my favor would be like something about getting the title or something like that. But he got his WrestleMania main event, so that's something he's always wanted. So I guess in that sense,
that there either Punk is a really good actor, which he may be, but remember he signed the contract and he said you got your WrestleMania moment.
oh yeah, he was so emotional. That was great.
I was
That was
so
real.
touched. I was like, oh, like it really touched me. And it just shows you, Scott, the investment that we all have.
Yeah.
I was so feeling that moment with him.
Yeah, it makes you like if you know, especially if you know Punk's struggles, a story, or what he's overcome, and then also what he's been through. Like to think that he would never, like he didn't know if he would ever be in WWE again, let alone in a WrestleMania main event. So I don't even think winning the championship is great and everything, but just to have the WrestleMania main event, I think is more than any title right now for him because he's already been champion before.
Which is so surprising to me. Does it surprise you that he was never headlining WrestleMania?
Yes and no. I mean, I know there was, he had that run with Undertaker and he's had that run in the past, but I don't know if Vince McMahon really like saw him in that light. So while he was there, I don't know if that would have happened. If all this stuff hadn't happened with him and the disagreement with WWE and him leaving WWE under the Vince McMahon regime, I don't know if that would have been a possibility for him. But having that moment right now, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. That was what I was thinking too. Seth and Heyman kind of going together, but that's what makes this match even more interesting now because you're wondering what's going to happen with Heyman. You're wondering how is this match going to shake out because I feel like whoever wins this match may be the one in line to face John Cena next. So I know CM Punk has said some disparaging things about Cena recently. That match would be money. I don't see Seth Rollins involved. So I think it's either going to be Roman or CM Punk winning this match, in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing that threw me. Up until this whole last few weeks, Roman was a face again. And people were like, oh, yeah, right. Now he's being a jerk. You know, he was really
kind of frustrated with Heyman, yeah.
Heyman, or is he like acknowledge me? Like are we going back to the heel Roman?
I don't know. I think right now it's just the frustration he's feeling for what's going on with Heyman siding with his friend, CM Punk. So that's kind of hard. I mean, it's kind of that's what's wrong with when you have a triple threat match is like. Normally you have the good guy and the bad guy, and now you have three people. So then it's like almost like an in-betweeny that Roman is right now. So, but then at some points I think of Rollins as a heel too. So you could say the same thing about what's happening with Roman.
I have to say, honestly, Seth and CM Punk on the mic are probably the best two. Period.
Yeah, they've been definitely doing an awesome job. I love that rivalry too.
I mean, that's great. And Roman is hilarious because he'll do like the looks.
Yeah. He doesn't have to say anything
he doesn't do a whole thing. I don't know. I'm wondering what the Paul Heyman thing is and what is the favor? Like he's gonna like hurt somebody?
I thought the favor's already been given. Well, for Seth, you mean?
Or anybody. I'm saying so he gets him in his corner. The favor is you'll be in my corner. What's the point of having the guy in the corner? Isn't it to interfere in the match?
I think just to get in the head of Roman Reigns, just the fact that Heyman is there and he's on the other side while Roman is by himself for the first time in how many years. So I think that alone.
It makes only sense to me. He's not going to choose between Roman and his best friend. He's going to screw them both and go with Seth. That's as easy way
I don't know.
out.
At this point, it's almost too obvious that would happen. So I think I could see that happening, but then at the same time, you're not going to have two WrestleMania main events. If Cena's going to go over, you're not going to have another heel go over. That's what I think, anyways. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like they want to have the people leave happy one night at least,
which would be Punk winning.
That's what I think.
Punk.
I'm going with Punk winning, Cena winning, and then that match taking place at the next show or building up at least
to Backlash or
the pay-per-view after that. I'm not sure what, because you definitely need to revisit that rivalry, and I think that's good. I mean, that's a SummerSlam main event in my opinion too, so you could easily wait for that. But
I want to talk to you about the confusion Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair.
Oh my gosh,
what's going on, Scott? Now I'm looking at Bianca, is she? They don't like her. The audience is not. They're like booing her, and I'm like, so who are we supposed to root for here? Io?
This has been a cluster of what, like one of the worst build, like one of the most frustrating builds I've ever seen. Like unbelievable. Like it's incredible, like how it's done a disservice to Io because she wins the title, but then she's seen as an afterthought. Bianca wins the Royal Rumble, and now she's got to share her match that she lasted with another person. And the only reason this person got in is because she whined and complained about getting in the match. Like, I get Rhea wanting another match, but I don't know. It's just like they're trying to shoehorn this triple threat in this match. That's another thing. When you have multiple triple threats and 4 ways, it also waters down that triple threat.
I really don't like it.
It's ridiculous.
I don't like it. How many triple threats are we going to watch?
Right. So I feel for all of them because they're talented and I know they're going to deliver in the ring. It's just getting to that point. It made them all look, terrible leading up to WrestleMania. And I'm frustrated. So I think if they're going to save Io in any way, that Io needs to keep the title, because this whole story was her being this afterthought, and Bianca Belair and Rhea just like fighting amongst themselves, which that needed to be the match, the one-on-one match between the two. I don't know
why
made them change course, why they felt like they needed to include Io, and I feel bad for Io because I'm sure she doesn't feel bad because she gets a WrestleMania match with the title, but storytelling wise, it makes her look weak. So if they're gonna have her have the title, I think she needs to go over in this scenario. If they're gonna keep her as a strong contender or representation.
Okay, and what happens to Bianca? Is she then now turning heel too?
Yeah, I mean, Rhea's a strong babyface that. She's been doing good on that. I could see her doing it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but then she became heel at the same time as Trinity. So yeah, theoretically, because what you could do is down the line, you can revisit. Now you have Trinity versus Jade, but down the line, you can also have now Bianca versus Jade, even though she wasn't technically responsible.
And my question for you is do you think Bianca I think Bianca's going to come out in the match between Trinity and Jade at ringside?
Well, what could happen is if Bianca does she has her match, her triple threat match, and she does all these heelish things, and she's already an established heel, and then the next night she comes and helps Naomi. And then you find out what my scenario was, that Bianca really was part of this deal, and that Naomi never really revealed that part of it yet, and then she will after. So that could go in that scenario.
I mean, if they could turn John Cena heel, they can turn the EST heel.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of done it, but you got to be careful because you don't want to turn too many people at once. And one thing that we've been seeing the last couple of months in WWE is we're seeing a lot of flipping here with Cena and everybody and other people. So
Tag division, I can't even follow. I'm like, wait, are they good? Are they bad? Who are they? I don't understand.
yeah, it's interesting. What a difference from last year's WrestleMania build. It just seems like things are getting thrown together at the last minute again, which is what we.
I agree, and I remember when I was in LA for WrestleMania 39, and the big match was Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens winning the belts.
Yeah, on one of the nights,
and that was a big thing, and it was really exciting. And we don't have that in the tag thing. There's nothing with. Do we? We don't have that with any emotional investment like that.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of back and forth on both divisions, but I do enjoy, or I have enjoyed, the Street Profits kind of transformation, or their different look, different feel. I've liked that, and I've actually liked Pretty Deadly's kind of evolution to more serious.
I can't with that.
I feel like they're on the cusp of fans getting right behind them and them being a big tag team, a very big fan favorite tag team. I just think they're right there. And then I'm really disappointed, like, sadly, on the Motor City Machine Guns. Like, was so excited for them to get to WWE, but since they've been there, I haven't felt that the fans have connected with them, and they haven't been given much for the fans to connect with them.
Been given anything to do.
Yeah, same for
New Day is kind of just
DIY. This New Day team was on all cylinders, and now it's like, what's going on with them? So there's a lot of tag teams out there, which is good, but it doesn't seem like like you said, giving us a reason to care has been the problem.
Another thing that really kind of is making me, not that it can't be a good match, but on paper for WrestleMania, I'm not like AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Like I don't care. Like, I wanted Logan Paul in a different match, and I don't know what to do with AJ Styles. And who's LA Knight wrestling for the championship?
Probably Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu, who's great. That ought to be good. But I didn't understand, like, is that just
I think AJ and Logan Paul is going to be a good match, but that's another match that was kind of rushed together. So, and you're going to have some of those, but I don't know. I lead up to it. I know the match is going to be good, but it's almost becoming like, I hate to say it in a lot of ways, some of the matches, but an AEW situation where you're having these great matches, the show is going to be good on paper because of the card. Like, I disagree. I think Logan Paul and AJ are a good match when it comes to the bell to bell, but getting there hasn't been the best.
That's what I mean. Getting there, not that they're not going to deliver in the ring. I'm just kind of like,
yeah, like making you care. I want to
care. So when I'm there, I'm rooting and I'm screaming.
You're invested, yes.
I'm invested. I cry. I'm screaming.
Which is funny. I think what's also throwing us off, and it's hurt this year, is the fact that WrestleMania is so much later than it has been in the past. I don't know. There's something about it that gives me a different feel of the show.
I think there's more time than we've had more time to stretch it.
Yeah, which you think would be a good thing, but I almost think it's almost been a detriment for them. I don't know, because they're trying to keep things going, or I don't know. It's just I'm just getting a different vibe, like, than it would be if it's not the normal time.
Okay, talk to me about the entire Tiffany Stratton Charlotte Flair thing. So here's the deal. First, I watched Charlotte on Sherry. I do an article on it. I feel really bad for Charlotte. She's had a tough go, and she said something really important that is true. She thought this would be her redemption story. They never gave her a redemption story. She didn't get a chance to have it. Nobody rooted for her. She was hated from the minute she won the Royal Rumble. And the whole kind of messy segment that she did with Tiffany Stratton, where she says at the end, Ludwig Kaiser slid into her DMs. And meanwhile, the whole crowd in Chicago is literally booing her out of the building, Charlotte. And I think Tiffany looked kind of weird in it. Charlotte looked kind of off her game. What was your takeaway from that, and what the backlash has been from that?
It's interesting because when you hear from Charlotte outside the ring and you see those interviews, like on Sherry Shepherd, I've talked to her over the years. other people have. And, she comes off as like this sweet, like she just has it all together, and you're inspired by her, and you're inspired by her story and what she's been through. And I think if WWE zeroed in on that more and not force something again for her to be, they're just throwing her out there and just assuming that, they're just kind of forcing it in a way that she comes off as awkward and the fans don't feel like it's a genuine feeling of her. We need to see more of Ashley, I think, in those.
Oh my God, you're so right, Scott. Because Ashley, if we would have gotten what we never really heard from her about that knee injury, she tore her entire knee, ACL, meniscus, the whole thing. Like, it was a terrible injury, and she struggled to get back, and she had the problems with her marriage and what. I mean, I've seen them use real life stories before. Why didn't they use it in not necessarily the marriage, but they could have used her comeback of how difficult it was for her to get there. So winning the title was a big deal.
The problem is they want to force her. They don't want her to be the good person in the scenario. And then Tiffany Stratton, I think, is also kind of a forced thing, like because she won the Money in the Bank briefcase, but that the fans like her, but at the same time, it's like liking someone that's like should be a bad guy. I don't know. It's an interesting kind of scenario.
You just hit it. It's like she should be the bad one.
In this scenario, if you're gonna do, the fact is this match like is kind of rushed together. I don't even think it should have happened this quickly. I know the match is going to be good, but maybe they should have waited a little longer and kind of switched it up a little bit, because neither is just doing them any favors. And maybe it's because of chemistry. Like, you don't always have chemistry with the person you're working with. So in this case, maybe that's the case, but it's just a cluster also. But at the same time, they probably got more people talking about their match now because of last week's controversy than anything that they can do now. And now people want to see it because they're like, wow, these two really hate each other. So I'm interested to see how they're going to follow up with it.
They booed her so loud.
Yeah. Charlotte. And I almost felt like I just felt bad for her in that moment.
I did too.
Like because she's coming out the same way. And I think it's interesting because before she came back in those vignettes, you thought you were going to get something different from her. And then she just came back and it was the same thing we've seen before. So I don't know why that happened.
It was the same, like,
why? Yeah. And then there was moments, I think it's almost like she doesn't know who she is out there sometimes. Like, first she's kind of connecting with the fans and complimenting them, and then she's trying to be a fan favorite, trying to get into their, trying to get a positive reaction. And then all of a sudden she's like, being a heel again. So it's like, choose one side here.
I'm really worried. Okay, here's my take. I'm worried about Charlotte, period. I'm worried that what if she goes in this match and gets injured? B, what if something happens in it? It's just too much for her to take and she has a breakdown, like a real one. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of worried for her in the match.
I don't know. She's been through a lot in her life, and she's made, like, I read her book and talked about everything she's been through beyond marriages with Flair.
You said you interviewed her a few times, and you're saying when you talked to her, she was very professional and cool and had it together, you felt?
Yeah, and then you feel like this is a badass. Like, you want to cheer for this person because she's puts the work in, and then she works so hard, and she's trying to fight out of the shadow of her dad, and she did that, and then she still has to deal with like whatever trouble he gets in, his reputation. Her last name is a blessing and a curse, and finding her identity in the ring that's separate from him, but also honoring the family name and trying to extend the legacy, doing what she's doing with women's wrestling. Her brother died. This wasn't even her dream initially. It was her brother's dream. And then she mentioned that she was wrestling for her brother. And again, this is something that you could have all talked about and brought out. And, and I think fans would see her in a different way, but they're doing it all wrong. And, in that sense, but will they have a good match? They could have a good match.
I don't know.
But I think Charlotte needs to win this match.
She's going to win it. She's going to win it.
Yeah.
But then
we'll see what happens, because I think they just need to get out of this while they can. Like,
the women's title matches are really
terrible.
I mean, they're the worst setup of the bunch. They are.
Sadly, yeah.
The triple
Which is
threat.
ironic because Triple H is he's big proprietor of the women's division in women's wrestling, and he's done a lot for them. But at this stage of the game, I don't know where the disconnect is when it comes to the creating storylines that people are interested in when it comes to the women's wrestling. I mean, look at the women's tag team division, for God's sake. They're having a turmoil match, and then what do we really care? I even forgot who the champions were for a minute when we were talking about this.
And if I'm correct, stars like Liv Morgan and Sami Zayn don't even have a match. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, for right now. I mean, I can see Liv and Raquel getting a WrestleMania tag team women's title match. I don't know with Sami if it's an injury in that case or not. That's the thing.
Right.
Because I also saw Sami as being the opponent for Randy Orton, but I don't know how that would go over.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of holes here. It seems like. I want to pivot to AEW Dynasty because I watched the whole thing. I thought there were some amazing things in the card, but that ending was once again such a mess. You and I last met when I went to the LA show, and you texted me, "What the F is this?" And it was the end match of Swerve and Mox, right? Wait, who's wrestling? Yeah.
It was Copeland and Mox.
Copeland and Mox.
Yeah.
Total mess. Okay, so fast forward, we're watching this, and we go into Run-In City at the end of the match with Moxley, and all of a sudden Hangman comes out, and I thought that was the great part of it. Like, who's he going to kill? Is he going to,
Yes, that was intriguing. That part was intriguing.
That was the part I would have left as the cliffhanger and gone out on that. But instead, we had running after running after running, and this and that. And I'm like, what are we doing? I don't get it. And then you had to throw in, on top of the ops coming out to get the Death Riders out of there, Hangman, whatever, and then the lights have to go out. Are you kidding me? And then it comes up and the Young Bucks are there. And I'm like, what does this mean?
I'm just like...
And then Moxley retains the title. And I don't understand. I was literally pissed. Scott, help me here.
Yeah, I mean, everyone on social media, if you follow me on X, you know how pissed I was during that main event. And I got nothing but attacked by a lot of the fan base of AEW because of some of the things I said, because it's like a good, any good movie, you have a really bad ending and it really ruins the whole movie for you, just like a show like this. And it's been a trend for AEW the last couple of shows. And the one constant has been Jon Moxley matches and the same thing happening. It's like what everyone hated about WCW and the NWO with Hulk Hogan is like, you have the match and then it just turns into this cluster every single time. And I get you want to create the excitement and things like that. And you want to show the Death Riders as this strong team. But I'm like, the Death Riders are not the Bloodline. They're not the NWO. They're just this group that you're trying to shove down everybody's throats to trying to be like, a group that people care about. And they just don't. There's a disinterest. Of course, AEW, from what I've heard, where depending on what you read, is like, okay, they're getting a good audience, or there is interest outside of the internet wrestling community. But I don't know. I've spoken to people, on buses, after shows and things like that, and they've given me the same feedback. So I don't know how many people really are interested in this, but it's going to come a point where, yes, let's say you're getting to the end. Let's say you're going to have Darby Allin win the title. Let's say you're going to have Hangman or someone else. But by the time you get to that point, you've kind of angered the fan base so much that they're not even going to care by the time you get to that point. And that's what I'm afraid of, is like, Swerve was the guy. Like, the fans were like really behind him. He's a special talent. The momentum was there. I mean, you saw him at the basketball game, and the he brings a presence to him. And I don't care what your plan was. I think that was the time to pivot, and they didn't. And they're throwing the Young Bucks in here, who already the fan base is like, okay, the Young Bucks really, like, they're a talented team, but putting them in this scenario, I mean, I will say I get in a sense what they did, like their explanation on Dynamite, where they said they were talking about talking about the reasoning behind it, that there were, Hangman and the friendship, and he said that he didn't want Swerve to win the title. But, it's a reach because Hangman was out there anyways, so.
But then didn't they say, come on out here, Jon Moxley, come talk to us in the ring? And then Kenny Omega came out, and didn't that segment just end after Omega? Or did they come out, Moxley? I don't remember that.
Moxley was out there.
After Omega left?
No, he wasn't.
Right.
Wait, now I
no,
think.
When
no,
I
you're, no, you're getting me confused.
So wait, Moxley was out there. The Bucks took the microphones, explained what they did.
Moxley left at that point.
Moxley left.
Kenny came out.
Right. Talked to them. They got into a thing.
And then other Death Rider came out. And then Swerve came out.
Right. So there was no more Moxley again.
Yeah, so that shows you what a mess that whole scenario was.
So what are we getting? That the EVPs are running the thing with Moxley?
So now you're going to get, I don't know, some sort of 6-man tag that's not going to be what we're looking for. But, or a tag match. People were saying we're going to get the Bucks, Hangman and Swerve or something like that.
I mean, are they trying to, because to me, Will Ospreay's got to win the title at All In. So are they going to keep the belt on Moxley through to All In?
Are you sure about, they might be trying to get Darby to win the title?
Yeah, where's Darby? I heard about that. He's
climbing a mountain right now. Or trying to climb
Darby we're just waiting for Darby to come down from the mountain.
Yeah, and I don't think Darby's the guy, if that's the reason.
I think Will's the guy, not Darby.
Will could be the guy, Hangman could be the guy, Swerve could be the guy. But Swerve was the guy in that moment, what they built. I get with that. Okay, Adam Copeland, I was mad that he didn't win a title. But you're trying to build a future and a centerpiece, and Swerve is the one to do that. And then you're once again screwing over the fans again. And
it was so bad. Do you I was like, what? Instead of going oh, I'm going, what's going on? I don't understand. What's he doing there? What's going on? It just was like, hey, we're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink here at the end. And we're just going to.
Yeah, it's like a WCW booking, looking back at the time. And you don't want to be compared. Maybe you're not planning to be compared to WCW, but you're just going to be compared because of the way you're booking your show right now. Jon Moxley is Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan in this moment. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, they did it with Roman Reigns, and it's different.
Scott, help me with this. I don't understand the appeal at all of Jon Moxley. I don't even understand what his thing is.
I appreciate Jon Moxley, the grittiness and the thing, but right now he's cold to me. Cold.
When he
another disconnect, that one thing that's been bothering me also is Renee doing these interviews, and we all know that that's her husband. And he's doing all these dastardly things, and you're telling me she's completely just okay with it, or
I can't believe you're saying that.
She's not emotionally distraught over or torn about what to do in this kind of scenario. That's the one thing that's bothering me.
Thank you. I literally had this conversation with somebody else yesterday. Because here's the joke. So I went, as you know, it was my first time at AEW Media Scrum, and I am literally sitting in front of Renee Paquette. And we're talking about Jon Moxley.
Right.
And I'm looking at, and I'm like, are we uncomfortable to say what we want to say? It's her husband. There's some weird thing, either don't have her there. So why are you having her in the media scrum if the press wants to talk about Moxley? And she's just sitting there
yeah, and then you have her doing interviews with his bitter rivals and people that he's beat the crap out of almost under their careers and stuff. and you're expecting them to be cordial to his wife. It's like very weird, and having her be cordial
And she's
when
cordial.
these guys are the ones that beat her husband up badly or want him to lose the title. Like, aren't you like, you got to have some sort of emotional connection or show
I
something.
literally was talking about it. I was like, so what do we think of Renee Paquette in the media scrum? It's weird.
Yeah, you have other people that can do interviews. Like, you have so many backstage that do them. Lexi Nair can do it.
Anybody.
Alicia can do it.
Well,
Alex Marvez, anybody.
Okay, let's get to this. This was good. I was hoping, I guess Cash was in on it the whole time. Because remember, we were like, Cash.
Yeah, that was interesting. That I like. Did he turn in that moment? I'm looking forward to seeing how they kind of describe what happened. And I actually liked what they did with the night after with Tony Schiavone. I think that's one thing that they did do right, is they kind of drove home the seriousness of it, that he has a dog, children, the closeness, the bond of everybody. So I agree with you. That was I thought that was well done.
I really thought that was great, and I was shocked. I was like, "Oh wait, you knew something was going to happen." I didn't know Cash Wheeler would go in with his buddy, but they're heel now. They've gone John Cena way, and I guess they needed a reboot too.
They needed something. It was bound. It needed to happen because they're kind of just gone as much as they could go, and then not winning the trios title was very telling of what was going to happen next.
And what's the point of Edge now? He's gonna Edge Cope.
He's always Edge. Always
Edge to me. Cope is gonna end up with Christian to go against those guys. That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah, I think that would be really. I'm interested to see how they get to that point, because that's an all-in match right there.
How do they get there?
Yeah, because Christian is like this
horrible person.
Yeah, so we'll see how because he's got to get out of his scenario right now with his child.
With Nick Wayne, the patriarch. Yeah. But speaking of awful, Chris Jericho. I'm hoping, and I was saying this, and I think this is what they're doing. I'm like, he's got to leave. He's got to leave and come back as something else. Like, because this is not working. So he did smash it. Yeah. I just hated the learning tree thing. What do you think? And he drove away.
I was so mad that, the Bandito match, like, why didn't you just have the guy win? Like, you had to have this false finish, like, right in the middle, like, at the end of it. Like, just have Bandito win the match. Like, you didn't need all that. Like, I think they have always this, like, want to throw something in there because they feel like they need it, and they don't. Keep it simple. Stupid is a term for a reason. But anyway, so yeah, with Jericho, I think this is definitely run its course, and I think they recognize that, because you're seeing a little bit of dissension continuing to build. You saw it yesterday. I'm hoping this leads to Big Bill and Jericho, and Big Bill is just like,
I hope
the crap out of Jericho, and then we don't see Jericho for a little bit.
And babyface Big Bill.
Just to Big Bill, like, there's so much big star potential there. No pun intended, but big. But he has chance.
I love Big Bill.
Yeah, like, it's sad because he had this big run that was happening, and then all these things happened personally to him, and then he got released or let go, and then from WWE, and then he turned his life around, and now he's like in the best shape he is, like, his up in his game. It's like, if this Big Bill was like that in WWE at that point when they were pushing him, who knows where he would be right now. So that's always an interesting thing. I think
it's really bizarre. Look at NXT. Ethan Page is excelling at NXT. They completely wasted him at AEW. Now Ricky Saints. Doesn't it seem weird to you? They all go there and they're doing very well.
Yeah, Jade, Penta, Phoenix.
What do you think about
Cody?
Yeah.
It's definitely something, but you could say that about a lot of, when wrestlers go somewhere else, it's a new chance to refresh, and they kind of get appreciated maybe, or it's a perfect time. So I don't necessarily. I mean, in WWE going to AEW, I mean, we had some instances where it's kind of been reversed, where you're like, why didn't they use this guy like that here? Like Swerve Strickland, that's one, for example. The Hurt Business is doing really incredible things. So there are examples of the opposite too. So I think it's just a change of scenery, people appreciating each other more or being appreciated more. So things like that.
Why is the MGF with the Hurt Business?
That is another disconnect. Like, why you're wasting both acts with this right
You're
now.
literally wasting MJF
Both,
and
you're wasting MJF and the Hurt Business. Yeah, like I don't know where this is going, but I don't get it.
I literally don't get it. I literally don't get it. I thought Ospreay Kevin Knight was an amazing match.
Yes, that was a great signing by Kevin. For Kevin Knight, you saw him in New Japan. TNA had him for a while. He had a good run there. So interested to see what they're going to do with him. Another person, speaking of people that have done well going from WWE, Ricochet has found himself too. Don't forget that was a great.
I'm not going to just say to you the other match that I thought was the best was Ricochet, Speedball, and
wow, Kenny Omega. That was incredible. Yeah.
Wow. That was so amazing, and so was the Ospreay match. But the triple threat, I think Ricochet is so good. I just hope someday he can get a title.
They could have stopped that show at that match, and then the show would have been amazing. But no, they kept going and had that crap shoot at the end. But yeah, I think like I have not been personally interested. I'll be honest, like always interested in Ricochet. Like I know he can go in the ring, but from a personality standpoint, never really connected. Now, the last couple months, I think he's done a great job, and I think he's really found himself as a character, as a performer in the ring, and that's really shown as making him somebody people like to watch right now.
So how would you rate AEW Dynasty? I had it kind of like fell apart at the end for me, and I liked it. I even liked the FTR heel turn.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
I'd say it's a solid B minus.
B minus.
That ending was just terrible.
I just don't get it. And the only thing I could think of happening, and tell me what you think, doesn't the ultimate way this has to end with Marina Shafir has to be the one that double crosses Moxley and costs him something, so then she can go on and be a women's what's the way out of this? I don't want to watch this for the next 8 months.
It's hard to say. It starts with Moxley losing the title and then him either blaming all the other people and then getting sick of that and then walking away from him or something like that. That's all I can think of.
And the other last couple thing I want to ask you is I'm very upset that my Orange Cassidy is really injured. He tore his pec.
Oh.
I read. So Orange is out, which is a real bad. And then there was another injury, right? Somebody else big is out. They were reporting it.
Well, Pac got injured on Dynamite.
Pac got new injury. There was Orange and another guy, and they were talking about how many injuries there were.
Yeah, they've gotten struck by the injury bug, that's for sure.
Okay, so I guess it's April 10th. This gives us 11 days till Mania.
Yeah, and your chance you're gonna go, right?
There is a chance.
It's always hit or miss with you.
It's always hit or miss with me, people. It's always hit or miss with me. I hope to go. We'll see how I'm feeling physically to go after my surgery. And that's kind of where I'm at.
And you had your surgery last week?
A week ago.
Oh, wow. So you should have your Charlotte Flair video that you should have your comeback or your appearance at WrestleMania weekend.
I'm gonna do a whole Charlotte video. You know what? I think that'd be great, and I should put it literally mimic a WWE segment of me.
I would go back to the Royal Rumble with Triple H, and then that when he was coming back during Royal Rumble 2002 or something to Madison Square Garden. Watch that video.
Oh, yes. And I just wanted to also ask you, did they not name 3 legacy WWE Hall of Famers? And I was like, one was Dory Funk.
Dory Funk Jr., Kamala, and Ivan Koloff, who are all very deserving of being inducted in the Hall of Fame, but I hate that legacy thing where they're not going to be given a proper induction. Like, I feel like these guys are well worthy of that.
Why would you not induct them? Really induct them? They're so
while they're around. Kamala, they main eventing all over the place. Ivan Koloff,
Dory Funk Jr. was a champion 90,000 times over.
I don't get it. It's like when Luna Vachon and so many others.
Where's Luna Vachon? I love Luna Vachon.
She was inducted in the legacy wing. It's just, I don't know. It's like if you're a fan and you don't, if you're not an old time fan, you're not going to know these people. Supposedly is what they think. So it's not going to draw anything. So they're not interested. They want you to, it's for the same reason we have, we have this legacy is they don't want to have a formal induction for them, which is really sad.
Do you remember the funniest thing? I wanted to spit though, the AEW scrum, and that guy once again asked Tony Storm about the waffles. And
I'm not even watching the scrums anymore, to be honest.
I mean, she talked about the waffles, and I was like,
I didn't watch. What did she say? What was her response?
She got pissed. She's like, she said, "Come on, ask me a controversial question, anybody." And then the guy was the last question. He goes, "What's your choice of waffles or whatever the Waffle House thing? What's your waffle order?" And she got pissed and went, "Waffle, waffle," and she walked out. She never answered it.
Yeah, I mean it is a better than like, oh, when can we expect you in Omaha, Nebraska? When is your next? It used to, especially on the TNA calls, that was always like a big funny thing because it would be like an international conference call, and then they would use those questions to ask when they're coming to their country or something.
Oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. It was just like, and then and the other thing was the Wendy Richter. So they kept bringing up. Somebody asked, "Are you going to wrestle Wendy Richter?"
I'm waiting on that match.
I would like Tony Storm and Wendy Richter. I think that
or just some sort of interaction. We got to see something between the two of them.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. You can find Scott at TV Insider and tell everybody where your social media is.
You can find me on SM Fishman at X, and then you can look up my name pages on Facebook.
Right, and the other thing is, Scott tweets a lot, posts on X. X's a lot about wrestling, and he's always posting something. I like your stuff a lot of the times.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, so you and we will have to get on one of these once I figure out where I'm at.
Yes.
Am I at WrestleMania or am I not? So to be continued. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye.